Okay, let's put it together. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Omega Files. I'm your host, Dr. Freedom, and tonight we decided to get together with a few folks and have a little talk about Only the Monstrous, the first box set out for the War Doctor. Okay, let's get intros from everybody. Let's get hey there, hi there, ho there's. Let's start with Texas Tim.
Hello there.
Okay, AJ.
Hello.
William.
Hey now, how you doing, everybody?
Graham.
How you doing, guys? Good to be here.
And Phillip.
Good evening.
Okay, this one, wow. I was really, really taken aback as I sat down and listened to it again today. It's just amazing getting an inside look behind, all that stuff that went on that, we didn't get to see on screen, but now we get to listen to it on audio about some of the things the War Doctor did, especially when they start flashing between scenes. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's get opening thoughts. Let's start with Phillip.
I've listened to it many times now, and on each term listening, I get to like it more and more. Initially, I wasn't too sure about it, but now I've grown to love it. And John Hurt, Doctor, very subtle, but you know what? He's subtle as when he's blown up thing. It's not like Rambo, like, right, you're all gonna die. He's like he talks to them very gently and goes, now I'm gonna do this, so you get a run or not. And he just presses the button, bang, things go crash, bang, wallop. It's a good box set. I like the representation of Time Lords, particularly Jacqueline Pierce as Olystra. She's wonderful. And the Daleks in this are the usual type of Daleks. And I can't wait for the next box set, really. So bring it on.
Okay, next up, Graham.
For me, well, I enjoyed this right off the bat. I know Phil had an issue with it to begin with, and it was a wee bit slow for him, but for me, no, this was fine. John Hurt, I used the word back then, I'll use it again, Phil, whether you like it or not, was phenomenal in the role. Like Phil alluded to, Jacqueline Pierce was Olystra, superb. Even Lucy Briggs-Owens is, was it Rejoice? For a box set only sort of companion, as she turned out to be in this. She was quite good. And the three stories flowed and interlinked together pretty well. So all in all, excellent start. Roll on the next box set, folks.
Okay, William.
As a three-story box set, I liked it very much. One thing I can nitpick is I didn't like the theme song. That's a little nitpick. But what I wish this would have done is show more. Well, let me rephrase that. Story-wise, because we're listening and not watching it, show more of the War Doctor being the War Doctor, because he's supposed to have done such evil acts in all his time as being the War Doctor that the next incarnations of the Doctors doesn't even remember him or mention him. So I was hoping that you would already start off him doing already evil acts. It doesn't make it different if it was against Daleks or Time Lords or other planets. It just show you how much darkness he is. I wanted to see that. Well, that's what I thought, because the title said Only the Monster. We're going to see how much of a monster he is compared to the Daleks and the Time Lord, because we will see that he ends the Time War by using the moment, so to speak. So I was hoping that we would get more and more of him showing darkness and devastation besides to the Daleks, that he really doesn't care about people or species or anything. But we see him almost like an older Doctor. The only time he got upset is when somebody calls him the Doctor, and he ain't like that. But in reality, maybe the next box set will show it, because we're gonna see Louise Jameson in the final one. But we need to show more him being more dark. Whether we would like it, it doesn't make a difference, because he supposedly done such monstrous stuff during the Time War, and this is the time we need to see it. How this character was.
I agree with Will on that point there.
You're only one box set in, boys. Good time.
Well, plus they did have those little flashback scenes where he was talking about the 10,000 people that were being rescued, and the Daleks are using them as shields. And they're gambling on your humanity. You know, who would you rather sacrifice? The 10,000 you rescued, or the billions and billions who will die if you don't sacrifice them? You see, I like that bit. Okay, let's move on to Tim.
Well, once you get past the excitement of having John Hurt doing Big Finish, who, you know, and the rest of the cast on it is uniformly great. But I think the story, what you have really is a 3-part story. It's really one story, and it's not. I almost wish they would go to a 3 different story kind of format kind of thing for these things, because, to be fair, it drags a bit in part 2, I think, and I'm not sure if it's because of the way it was written or what. But, I mean, it does have some really cool things. Like they throw in a lot of things from the classic series, like the Time Destructor, and the idea that the Daleks are going to, you know, burrow into planets and use them as to travel around in or whatever, like they did in, you know, the Dalek invasion of Earth or whatever. And all of that's really cool, but what it kind of comes to a standstill at the end of episode 3, where they just sit there and talk about the plot and explain what happened. I'm thinking hopefully the next set will be a little bit better, because in the sense that it's written by 3 different writers, it's 3 different stories, hopefully. I mean, it's still a fun listen, but it's just, I think it could have been better. I think that the book by George Mann, Engines of War, was a much more powerful story for this Doctor, and I think that had a little bit more of what Will was just talking about in it, a more dangerous guy kind of thing. But, like Graham said, though, it is only the first box. We have to see where they go from here. So,
yeah, I do agree with you. I think Engines of War was a bit of a better story myself. Okay, AJ, go ahead.
For me, I really liked the theme music in this. It was different, original, and it was dramatic and sort of operatic in a way. I disagree with Will, the fact that the Doctor not being monstrous enough. I think in his mind he thinks he's monstrous, and the things that he had to do, or at least contemplate doing, were what made him forget who he was after he became number 9. That's what I think, at least anyway.
Yeah, but do you know what, AJ? Look at Alystra. She comes across more monstrous than the Doctor does in the way that she deals with things in the audios. And yeah. I prefer her characterization of being evil and nasty, as opposed to the Doctor who's like a cuddly bear, really.
Yeah, but he's fighting with an internal struggle with himself of what he should do.
But he should. But there's the problem. We saw the 7-minute movie with Paul McGann choosing to become a warrior.
Yeah.
And so that means that's why he says Doctor no more. So in a way, he shouldn't be acting doctorish to anybody. That should be out of his system. He is a warrior fighting a time war, and since we see that this is already a lot of years has passed into the war, but this is an older John Hurt, we don't know nothing what happened when he first regenerated from Paul McGann. We don't know we don't know did he avoid the time war, or he already was causing mad havoc doing time and space and all that nonsense, but we don't know it. He don't even mention anything that he did in the past. That's how come I say, since this is the Doctor that all other doctors wanted to forget, even though it doesn't work. What is it since he first became the war Doctor to the older guy? What has he been doing that he doesn't like, that his future incarnation doesn't want to remember it?
To be fair, I was kind of relieved that he was a bit doctorish, just as I was in Day of the Doctor, because I think he's never going to lose that core of who he is. And even if he becomes somebody that he's ashamed of in the future for his actions in this war, he's still going to be the Doctor. And because going into this, I was thinking, how is this going to work? I mean, is it a one-trick pony show where it's just the guy at war all the time? Because, one of the advantages of the classic series and the current series, is that it's where do you want to go? What do you want to see? So the Doctor and his friend, whoever it is, go on adventures together. And so some adventures are different than others. Some are better than others. But, I mean, this guy doesn't have that. He's got one
modus operandi, war.
One playground to play in a way. So they took it a little bit. I actually enjoyed the first episode the best because he does chill out and act a bit doctorish for a while. He even flirts with a young girl. And I thought that was pretty cool. But I see what you mean. But I think I think it's going to go on. I think probably they'll carry it on in the future sets, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah,
I'm a bit afraid that they might carry on that same vein of the type of Doctor that we heard in the first box set. A Doctor with no real bite to him, like we were trying to say.
Right, though.
I'm a little bit hoping maybe in the other box sets, because we don't really know what all the stories are about.
Yeah,
You meet some of his other aliens that were his adversaries, and I don't mean the Cybermen. I mean other ones come from the books or whatever. That he meets them, and they thought they were all bad, and he did something to put them in their place. And they didn't get involved with the time, or like say supposedly the Santarans and stuff like that. They didn't get involved.
Yeah, because the Italians were rubbish. I mean, they were horrible.
They weren't even
pantomime.
They were like reject Klingons.
Jeez.
That's a very good simile. I like
It's not that was the actor's fault or the director, but just him standing there laughing all the time because he's being evil, and it's just kind of really. It should have been.
And Seratrix, talk about the biggest attack of the dumbass militarily since the Little Bighorn.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna make peace with the Daleks. Yeah, like that always works.
They're never gonna work.
Yeah. Actually, I couldn't understand that. So, was Alistra wanting to make peace with the Daleks? She said he would do that.
That was a trick.
Oh, okay. There was another thing that bothered me about this whole box set. The character of Vetris, the Time Lady bloke, the Time Lady that came.
The Time Lady bloke. You trying to tell us something?
Oh, sorry. The Time Lady who came to collect the Doctor to do his work, but he wouldn't do it.
Was that
played by Beth Chalmers?
Vecklin?
Yeah, Vecklin. And the problem with that is, every time I heard Beth Chalmers speak, all I could think about was Rain Creevy. That woman, although she's a fine actress, her voice is the same in everything she does, and it doesn't separate well for me.
I mean, to be fair, they have a stable of actors now that they use in all kinds of the projects. You have Louise Jameson, who has her own Omega Factor now, and that was a show she acted in on TV in the 70s, and she also turns up on Survivors along with Carolyn
Seymour. I understand that.
Seymour. I mean, to be fair, Carolyn Seymour uses the same voice she used in the Strax story we just listened to when she was in that. So I mean, you're going to get that. I think that's really not something to complain about.
And to be fair, Phil, I mean, Beth Chalmers was only in 7 stories as Rain Creevy. I mean, it's not as if.
No, I know, but she got one of those really distinctive voices that you just know. Oh, that's Rain Creevy, and then you don't think about her as that Time Lord character. You're hearing Rain Creevy all the time. So I wish they would have used someone else for that character.
No, well,
it's not a bad thing, but it's just a little niggle.
No,
I get what you're saying.
Oh, go ahead, Tim.
I'm sorry. I get what you're saying, Phil, but it's just one of those things you kind of have to put aside, like the fact that some of the actors sound older than they used to. I mean, it's something that they're going to do. They're giving these people work, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
And, for example, when you hear Louise Jameson in Omega Factor or Survivors, of course you recognize her voice because you know who she is. You listen to her all the time.
But for some reason, it's easy to translate Louise Jameson into other projects and not think about her as leader. As soon as I hear Beth Chalmers, it's that same kind of posh, upper-notch voice that she has when she's that. And it's like, it's too classy for a Time Lady, basically.
Really? Yeah. Really? Well, next time we'll send that after you, all right, Phil? How's that?
Well, you got to remember, though, a lot of those Time Lords and Time Ladies, they're walking around with their noses scraping the ceiling.
True.
Yeah.
True.
And you can't help think of Servalan as well when you listen to Jacqueline Pierce. I mean, it's always going to remind you of that. So
I get your point there, but I didn't really watch her Blakeson that often, so I didn't really know her character at all. But she's very effective in this, though. She's very effective.
She was great in this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was beginning to wonder if Waco, what was her name again? Alistra?
Yeah.
I was beginning to wonder if she was had like Sylvester McCoy DNA, seventh Doctor. Come on, she came up with the perfect scheme. Let's get rid of them tree-hugging peace lovers. I'm like, my goodness. She was just so devious. All right, but the question I want to ask: how many of you did kind of jump out of your seat when we got to the little scene in the boat?
Oh yeah, that was fantastic, man.
Tell me now, am I a monster now? Am I a monster now?
I didn't get it. Was he? It makes it sound like he was either hitting her or he was.
No, he was hitting the boat.
No, he was in the
He picked
water.
up the oar and he
Yeah.
started smacking it, and that's why she
Yeah,
said.
but did he throw her into the water? Did she dive
Yeah, I
into
thought he threw her in the water.
No. He accidentally whacked her out.
That's right.
Well, he accidentally hit her.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That you really can't tell. You really can't tell what happened. There's another scene like that later when, again, it gets a bit sloppy. He's like, "Oh, this is happening to me" or something. Which you don't really say that in audio. You need to make it clear what's happening without saying it. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't say that's a big flaw, but I really didn't know what to make of that. It sounded to me like he was hitting her with the paddle, and that's just
the scene I did like was the callback to the War Games when the Time Lords are coming with that wind, and they catch up with him, and they catch up with him in the TARDIS, and they send Rejoice back to her planet, man, and he comes back and see her years later. I really like that. That was a good scene.
Mm-hmm. Then you had the guys who sacrificed himself in the rocket in the third story as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, any others you want to throw in? Go ahead.
No, I noticed that the two guys that the Doctor saved in the first story.
Mm-hmm.
You notice that this chick didn't like that they'd survived. Like they witnessed something that she didn't want them to be. Alyssa didn't want them to be around. Like they might have witnessed something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that actually explained, or was that going to be? Is that going to tell into another box?
I think they're both dead now. They were expendable, and they were sent along with Doctor and what's her name, the guard that was in charge.
Yeah.
All the time. I keep forgetting her name too. Was it Veclan?
Veclan. Okay. Yeah. I think I get it. It's not an easy name to remember, really. So Veclan.
I did like how he would piss her off though by acting like he was in charge when she kept having to insist, "I'm in charge of this operation," which kind of tells you about the kind of person she is. So, and I think it was cool the way what's her name, Pierce's character,
Lestra.
How she just told her, "You're going to go away and you're going to forget all about this," and that's what you're going to do. That's pretty clever.
How did the Time Lords get their hands on a Dalek's time destructor? That's what I want to know.
Time scoop.
Yeah.
It's
There's a war on foot.
Yeah, but you're having a time war. Unless they just replicated the schematics of such a thing, they would.
From what I thought, they said I thought it was the original one.
That's what I thought, and I thought, well, how does that work?
It might have been discarded old technology, and the Daleks just never thought to come back and get it.
There you go. Damn squids.
Remember, in between the time of the Time Destructor, you also had where they literally got their asses kicked out of the galaxy by the Movellans, not to mention countless other defeats. It might have just been lost technology. Then the Time Lord said, "Oh, look at what we found."
Yeah.
We'll take that. Yeah.
Damn Daleks, you left your Time Destructor lying around.
You have to wonder though at the idea of the Time Lords being engaged in a struggle with the Daleks of all things for this many years or whatever. In other words, it's a time war, so it's them both sides are playing around with time. Like they had that instrument in the book that could make somebody disappear, their whole life disappears or whatever.
You mean a dematerialization?
The demon.
Yeah.
But I mean, you would think though that the Time Lords would automatically win because they're old hands at time travel. The Daleks picked it up, at some point. The Daleks really are never that clever, are they? The Doctor always beat. So I mean, I don't know if it's even that great of an idea that there is a time war. You know what I mean? It seems like something the Time Lords would just go, "That's it, it's done."
Yeah. Well, thank you, RTD.
I'm trying to remember that thing. They had it in the Eighth Doctor as well. It was that thing they were throwing people into it. It not only killed you, but it erased.
Oh, the oubliette, the oubliette thing.
That's what it was. I think it was. Yeah, the oubliette. Plus, I love the fact that when he had the one scene where he alluded back to he actually explains, look, the reason why I'm doing this because I feel like it's my fault. I screwed up. I could have done this back, in my fourth life. I could have this, but instead, it's probably what triggered this whole thing. He says likely, so he kind of leaves it up to the the listener. You go, you see, maybe that fan theory was true.
They touched upon that in one of the Gallifrey stories that Narvin was the cause.
That was Narvin, yeah. Well,
Narvin.
Nah, he just wants the glory,
Narvin means one step from being Marvin. Okay.
The Time Lords, though, themselves, also that were portrayed in Engines of War, and in fact in that McGann minisode, are also just as feared and hated as the Daleks by the girl. Yeah. And I think, I wonder if we're going to get to that part. You have to wonder also, if this Time War, are there ever going to be other races? Like, remember how all the races in the galaxies came to see the end of the 11th Doctor to come kill him at the Pandorica, yeah. And you'd have to wonder, wouldn't other races get involved against the Time Lords? Because the Time Lords are just as nefarious as the Daleks. When it's implied.
Yeah, that's the only one problem with that is the Daleks will kill anything that's anywhere near them.
Well,
so it's like, this is not your war. Get lost.
Well, you can see how they gather allies though, like these useless.
Oh yeah, good point.
Yeah, that's the thing that, because remember, like, the Daleks took over a lot of other planets and mined them to use them as weapons and stuff like that. So I was saying, I got the funny feeling these knuckleheads must have found out about other planets being taken over, and all they did was obliterate the sun. Like to go nova and wipe out all these planets like nothing. That caused all these other planets and all these races to be wiped out like nothing.
Yeah, and if you remember in season 4 with the Poison Sky and the Sultan stratagem, it was saying to the Ratigan kid, the greatest war in the echelons of history, and we were forbidden to take part. Go figure, you bunch of potato heads.
Because I wanted to see Sontarans versus Ogrons.
Yeah,
the Ogrons,
yeah, a whole bunch of Sontarans troops walk up and the Ogrons just go boop and bring another.
Yeah, that'd be a species that the Daleks use as slaves, the Ogrons. We haven't heard nothing about them being used in the Time War. Like, damn.
I'm surprised they didn't use them instead of the Italians. It would have been a lot more entertaining, because Ogrons are supposed to be stupid and they're very funny in that Tom Baker story they did. But I mean, in this, you have these Talians that are just silly, pantomime laughing villains, and it's like it would have made more sense if it was somebody like the Ogrons, I would think.
I like the Ogrons when they were in. Which story was it? Where they broke that woman's arm and everything? Break her arm.
That was a big story.
That was an Unbound story, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't an Unbound. It was
I can't remember what it was.
One of the specials.
It was the 7th Doctor one, wasn't it? Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the one with the Dalek was frozen in ice.
That's right. That's the 7th. Yeah, that one. Return of the Daleks.
Yeah.
Return of the Daleks. Yeah.
Oh yeah, good old Susan Mendez. Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
Broke that arm. Like, oh, you heard it.
I jumped out of my chair when that happened. When I first heard, I was like, "Oh my god!"
That's what another thing. I wish they would do an earlier story of the War Doctor when he was young, just to see maybe he was the one that dealt with the Ogrons.
But the problem is, Will, is that John Hurt's voice is very shall we say?
Yeah, but that's a machine that can make you lighter or deeper, so to show you younger or older. Let's get Nick
Briggs to whip out the checkbook and go and get one of them. I mean, it's usually for
Well, I'm paid enough, so you could afford one. So,
right.
But yeah, I agree with you all. Let's have a young War Doctor adventure before he becomes the teddy bear that we know now.
Probably a flashback in one of the future box sets, maybe.
I don't think you could do it, though, because, I mean, you could, I suppose. John Hurt has kind of always sounded the same, but he does sound much older now, I guess, than he did in his earlier parts. But he's always had that kind of raspy cigarette voice anyway, so it's hard to say.
Eat your heart out, Francis Barber. Yeah.
No, but like even as far back as Alien, which was 79, he still had that same kind of voice, so you might be able to pull it off.
Yeah, you can do this. You can do that. You can do maybe 1 or 2 stories when he was young. gotta find out what happened to Ogron. We need to know if maybe he did something to wipe him out or something.
Those damn
So-
Oberons.
But we're gonna see in a few months the Sontarans when the Eighth Doctor faces them right in the beginning of the Time War.
Yeah, apparently.
We're gonna know why they didn't get involved.
So let me get this right. So the next box set for the War Doctor, Infernal Device, is it Infernal Devices?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Does it give you information with Listra's back in
She's on the cover, Phil.
he's in the cover, man.
in that case, they're back to Gallifrey again. So which brings me to Tim's point. What more can the War Doctor do outside of the war? Because he's in the same playground.
Which is why you got something different with him meeting the companion in the first story here, and then it began to trickle through.
Yeah,
You know?
but it'd be nice for him to be in a different situation in the next episode.
What I was saying was that I like the way they subverted the limitation on the character, because if you think about it on paper, this is the War Doctor. This is what he does. He's not like any of the other ones, because they can do whatever they want, go hang out with whoever they want to, go to whatever planet and have an adventure. You know, let's go see what the Zarbi are up to again. You know, that kind of thing. Whereas he doesn't have time for that. He's too busy running around, pretty much fighting both sides. I think. So, and that's the cool thing about it. But it kind of limits the scope of the series, I would think.
Yeah, you're right. I agree.
But I was glad that they supported that by having an episode where he spends a year, I think, or how long did he spend there recovering from the
9 months somewhere? Yeah.
100 and
kept on
something
talking about how many sunrises. Yeah, how many sunsets.
Right. That's an interesting question. Although the War Doctor is involved in the Time War, does that mean that he was time locked within the time war itself and not able to come outside of that?
Well, it wasn't time lock. The war didn't end yet.
Well, it depends how big the time lock is too. It could be over a couple of star systems, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to allude to. So yes,
It really depends on what time it is, doesn't it? Because it's not always time locked when it's happening. So there you go. It's the time lock is a confusing figure of speech, I think. But at the end of the day, he ended the war with the moment, and then he went back and changed it with his future selves. So that's all there is. I mean,
that just tells you the time was broken there and then anyway, because they're not meant to be there. The other two.
Well, that's what Tennant said. This what would in here? This should be time locked when they went to the barn. So.
Yeah.
The moment let them in.
Which answers my question. Which answers my question that the War Doctor's adventures within the Time War were time locked. He was trapped in that bubble.
It's kind of hard to explain. All right, hang on. Let's let AJ go. He hasn't said anything all.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Oh, just the whole thing with the Time War. Between the Time Lords and the Daleks. To me, I think it's like the end of Bill and Ted 2. You know how they go to the guy, I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to remember to go back and change this, and then it happens. Basically, that's how I think it is. You know, someone goes back and changes something, and then someone goes back slightly further to change that to stop that from happening, and so on.
Yeah.
Didn't Rowan Atkinson do that in the sketch comedy?
Yeah. Fatal Death. They bribed the architect.
They fart to communicate.
Yeah, Curse of the Fatal Death. Yeah.
A Moffat story.
That's what I mean. In a time war like this thing, though, they're going to keep changing the events by changing what happened in time. So, I mean, it's hard to visualize it because once the Daleks do something, then the Time Lords do something, and they keep undoing each other's dirty work, I suppose. Yeah. So it's really confusing.
Now that Big Finish made the announcement of the fourth box set will have Leela in it, I wonder if the third one would, in any way, are we going to find out what happened to Romana, considering at the end of the Time War we saw Rassilon being
So that'll be interesting to see actually how they bring that forward to that point.
Mm-hmm.
I know. There was another brilliant idea. Let's go dig up the crazy old man in the tower.
Here's a question though. In the first story, who's the Time Lord that mentions that the Doctor is dead to the Time Lords? It sounds like Rassilon to me.
It's meant to be
one of those two, isn't it?
No. There's one who does like a mad public speaking thing to the whole of the.
Yeah.
I think that's who the film.
Call him Gold Usher. I call him Gold Usher. That's who he probably was.
Yeah.
The Doctor is dead.
Well, I think that they're going to do what they always do.
No, I agreed with their speech.
Sorry, who's going to go first? Go on, Tim.
No, I just meant I was going to say that I think Big Finish can do what they always do, just play around and not really leave any concrete answers for a lot of things in case they want to continue past 4 and keep, you know what I mean? They're not going to tie up too many loose ends. And I think that's a good way to do it. You don't want to answer all the questions and dot all the I's and cross all the T's. I mean, you want to leave a lot of stuff undone. And I think that's a good thing. That's what the show does now. They even say, I mean, we leave this stuff for Big Finish to take care of because, then you get more stories. So
Yeah.
Yeah, the question is, after the 4th box set comes out, and are they gonna continue more stories of John Hurt War Doctor?
Well, you got to remember he's getting on a bit. Hopefully, he'll still be with us for many, many years.
Yeah.
Tom Baker's still chilling about, and he's past 80, so who knows?
Yeah, but that's true.
But you Brits don't got a good track record this week. Well, how many you lost already?
How many of those planets did the Daleks have at their disposal to destroy Gallifrey? 1,000.
There was like 1,000 plus an uncertain number. He said. He said there was actually.
So if the timers were aware of all those planets in that one little fishing bowl, why couldn't they just time loop it all? And then the Dalek wouldn't have any truck in how to do anything with them.
But you'd have done that when you go ahead.
I was going to say we'd use too much power probably from the Eye of Harmony.
Well, it's a better odds than having 1,000 planets hitting your own. So just you're right. Because
like I said, if they're near a sun, maybe they can make those suns go nova and blow up.
I don't know why they didn't just whip out the magnetron again and move them all.
Yeah. Oh yeah, good point. Good point.
Beep. The what? The beep. Yeah.
beep, beep, beep.
I wonder what happened. I'd like to know what happened to that race that, besides the Movellans, remember the other race that don't like the Daleks? The big one.
Right. What era?
The 60s.
Mechanoids.
Mechanoids.
The Mechanoids. Yeah, but they're not very effective on audio, to be honest. All they do is go.
No. We don't have to see a story with them. Like maybe somebody would mention what happened to that species.
They're like,
they weren't the species. They were robots.
Yeah. I mean, you think the Mechanoids are useless? Let's just wait and see how they handle the Weeping Angels, all right?
Ooh.
That'd be a good one. Unless Angel Bob shows up.
Angel Bob, don't have him talking. No.
I made him say comfy chairs.
If the Time Lords do return in the next box set, I hope it's not going to be. They're going to have to try and ramp up the Time Lordness of them because they can easily just fall back into political chit chat.
Just because a lister's on the box set doesn't mean it's going to be to do with a hell of a lot of Time Lords. You never know. I mean, you're going to have to touch on them because it's a Time War.
Other than the War Games, the Time Lords have always been crap.
Yeah.
What rank is she? Lister, what's her rank?
She's Cardinal.
Cardinal, yeah.
She's Cardinal.
That means she's answerable to the president, right?
Aye.
I wonder why they haven't shown no communication between those two.
They haven't got one yet.
They probably will expand it. They will expand it at some point to that.
Maybe during wartime she is in charge. What's her title?
Yeah, but she's
Cardinal.
No, but everybody got to answer to the president, so you got to let them know what's going on.
Yeah, but he's a rampaging lunatic. He gives a rat's ass about him.
It depends who the president. Actually, it depends who the president is at the time. Because if we're going to see Leela come the 4th boxer, then at least that must mean that Romano or somebody like her is president at the time.
Hey, Phillip, for all you know, it could be Black Russell, and you could have a brother in the robes, mate.
You don't know the context of Leela's appearance at all either. I mean, it could be.
Yeah, you're right there. That's true.
In fact, are we sure that she's in fact playing Leela?
Yeah, they had a little 30-second trailer and they had her.
Okay.
What trailer? I never heard that.
There's nothing to it.
Wait till the end, you hear it, all right?
Yeah,
Blue White in it,
Yeah, Big Finish Day 8 was today, so that they announced a lot of that stuff. Okay, so anything else, guys?
I just hope that the next box sets, remember, only 3 more left, did we get to see more of the Doctor?
You mean you want him to be breaking bones and stuff like that?
I don't want him to. He didn't have to put his hands on anybody, but we see him make decisions that make him become a very, very hateable person.
Yeah, but that's what doesn't make sense about him. He's supposed to be a warrior, and yet, okay, he fights with words and occasionally with his hands, but he's not what you call the really scary big guy. You know what I mean?
The thing is, at the end of the day, he's still the Doctor, and that's why they walk a fine line. They can't make him too extreme to where he's going to alienate fans.
Well, but then it explains these other future selves shunning him for being.
Maybe the reason his future selves hated him so much was because of what he did with the moment when he killed off both sides completely or something. Maybe that's why they refuse to remember him or call it.
Yeah, but remember when in one of those Strax field report, he did mention the War Doctor that he caused fear throughout the universe. He was like, he didn't want to even talk about him no more.
Oh, I just want to say, matter of fact, after he defeats the next Dalek fleet, I want to see him walk out of the TARDIS and kick a small puppy.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
That person.
No, but if you remember at the end of that, we snippet in the Strax Field report. He caused fear wherever he went, and unfortunately, he was rubbish. There you go.
I want him to walk up to a small child, yank the lollipop out of his mouth, and use the sonic to make the rest of his teeth fall.
One of them. Give me the lollipop. Yeah, Phillip had his way. He'll be kicking kittens, kicking puppies, drowning firstborns,
So the next Boxer, what would be the threat now? Then he dealt with the Daleks, they kicked their asses. So is it going to move on to other monsters, or are we going to still stick with it? Are they going to still stick with the Daleks?
Somebody's going to look at a synopsis for it.
I'm checking right now.
Oh, man.
Only a couple of weeks away. Yeah, I can just imagine John.
February.
Oh man, Jesus, man. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll go ahead. We've talked about it. We've bounced it around. Let's go ahead and let's rate the sucker. Okay, let's start with Tim. Out of 10, what do you give Only the Monstrous?
I'm going to give it an 8. I think it could have been better. I think it's not bad at all, though. I would recommend it. So I'll give it an 8 for now. I'm hoping with 3 different writers writing the net set that'll be a little more
variation.
Variety.
Okay, AJ.
For me, 9 because it's his incarnation number and it was a pretty good story and very little use of the sonic screwdriver.
All right, William.
I'm giving it a 7.5. I need more.
You need more puppies being kicked.
No, I don't mean about puppies. I want to see him become more of the warrior and not being doctorish. But this, I don't mean I don't hate it, but I want to see more.
After he defeats the next Dalek fleet, I want to see him materialize at a local hotel and take in a bunch of hookers and blow.
The title for the 3 stories is Legion of the Lost, A Thing of Guile, and The Never Win. Those are the 3 stories.
Never Win?
Legion of the what? The first one?
Legion of the Lost.
That could be Cyberman's story.
No.
I can see that now. Him with this young girl looks kind of like Paris Hilton. He cracks her across the butt. Don't call me doctor. Call me daddy.
On the plus side with that beard, there'll be no white stuff on his cheek. Anyway.
The first story has the doctor discovering a Gallifreyan secret that they're trying to do for the war.
Infiltration. Okay.
He discovers they use Calgon for the robes. Oh, okay. Next up, Graham, out of 10.
Well, John Hart and Jacqueline Pierce sell this for me. I mean, is it perfect? Hell no. We've already discussed some of the flaws here this evening. I'll give it an 8 as well. Solid start.
Okay, Philip?
I'm going to go with the majority and say an 8. Initially, I thought it was a bit slow going, as I said earlier. But on subsequent listening, it gets better. It gets better each time. I pick up things I never heard before. And you know what? I got high hopes for the next couple of box sets. So Bring it on.
Yeah, I'm going to hang with an 8 as well. It was very, very good story. I did enjoy listening to it. It did seem to fly by. It had a good flow for me. But at the same time, yeah, there were just a few things there and there that, just, made me go, nah, I can't give it a 10. So, okay, we'll hang with, it seems like majority gave it an 8 and we have a 7.5. Okay, they'll,
I was a 9.
bad.
1.9. We got 1.9.
Oh, sorry, we have 1.9.
Which really is a 6 backwards.
Oh,
Okay, next week we're going to sit back and have a little talk about Jessica Jones.
Ooh.
We're going to discuss the series, what you thought of it, what did you think of the characters. We're not going to go episode by episode. No. We're not going to do that.
Sex scene by sex scene.
Yeah, sex scene by sex scene.
Unfortunately, that was just the first 3 episodes, but
I don't know about you, but after the first couple times with Luke Cage, I'd say Jessica Jones got very, very dark.
yeah.
And the week after that, we're going to
Yeah.
We're going to go back to another audio. We're going to do the Diary of River Song.
Oh.
So I kind of want to bounce in and out of audios this year because I love going over them. So
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah.
okay, so
You got your money to keep buying them.
Mm-hmm.
are you getting Phillip supports Big Finish? As a matter of fact, they should be just sending me an advertisement money right here for having them on.
There should be a bronze statue of Phillip Archer outside Big Finish Towers.
But we all do in a way.
holding an MP3 player.
Okay, let's say goodbye to everybody. Okay, let's start with Phillip.
Good night. Farewell. See you next time.
Okay, William.
Thank you for having me here. Hope to be here next week.
Graham.
I'll be here next week and I'll be screaming, "Get back here, Jessica." Adios.
AJ.
Catch you guys next week for Jessica Jones, blow by blow.
And Tim.
If you haven't already, read or listen to Engines of War. If you want more of the War Doctor, it's a very good story.
Good plug.
There you go. Go, Cinder.
Till next week when we see the clothes fly off and this, everything nuts.
I wish there wasn't a note.
No camel toe.
Yeah.
Oh.
Unlike